There is a force more dangerous than hatred and more corrosive than fear. It slithers quietly, unseen, through the chambers of your mind, feeding on comparison, thriving on your private doubts. You rarely speak of it. You may deny its presence. But it waits, striking not in moments of conflict, but in moments of success, someone else's. It creeps in when others are praised, when they rise while you remain still, when they shine and you feel unseen. This force is envy, and if you do not learn to detect it, understand it, and ultimately master it, it will dismantle your ambition from within. Envy is the silent assassin of progress. It doesn't scream, it whispers, and it whispers ruin. Envy is not always loud or obvious. It is a quiet, gnawing desire for what belongs to another, a craving that festers when we feel left behind or overlooked. It rarely appears as rage. Instead, it masquerades as sarcasm, judgment, or aloof detachment. It is the shadow emotion, the one you feel when someone achieves what you secretly want. While jealousy fears the loss of something you already possess, envy aches over something you never had. It thrives in the quiet comparisons we make when observing others, their beauty, their status, their influence. And the danger is not merely in what envy reveals, but in how easily we deny it, until it shapes our behavior in ways we no longer control. Before we go further, it is essential to distinguish envy from its close relative, jealousy. Though often used interchangeably, they are not the same. Jealousy arises from the fear of losing something you already possess: your partner, your position, your reputation. It is defensive, protective, and rooted in a sense of ownership. Envy, on the other hand, is born from absence. It fixates on what others have and you do not. Where jealousy guards, envy covets. And while both are corrosive, envy is often more insidious because it masquerades as justice, as critique, as silent bitterness. Understanding this difference is not mere semantics. It is key to recognizing the specific threat envy poses to your peace and potential. The ancient Stoics understood envy with brutal clarity. To them, it was not merely a vice, it was a philosophical error, a sign that your values had gone astray. Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus taught that we suffer from envy because we attach meaning to things that lie beyond our control. The admiration others receive, the fortune they acquire, the praise they enjoy, these are not ours to govern. When we measure ourselves against them, we surrender our peace to external forces. The Stoics remind us that true contentment stems not from possessions or applause, but from virtue, from the quiet strength of character, from wisdom, courage, self-control, and justice. Envy, therefore, is not about others. It's about us. It's about the misplaced weight we give to things that are, by their nature, unstable. Yet this corrosive force, once exposed, offers an unexpected gift. Envy can be a mirror, reflecting your hidden longings and unrealized potential. Most people run from envy, ashamed of what it reveals. But the wise examine it closely. When envy stirs within you, it's not merely a sign of resentment, it's a signal. It reveals what you value, what you aspire to, and where you feel incomplete. If you envy someone's discipline, perhaps you have grown indulgent. If you envy their eloquence, maybe you've neglected your voice. Seen clearly, envy can become a compass, pointing you not toward destruction, but development. But to access this power, you must be brutally honest. You must look into the mirror envy provides and commit to refining what you see. Let's zoom out for a second. Take the old story of Cain and Abel. Cain was a farmer, Abel was a shepherd. They both made offerings to God, but only Abel's was accepted. In the end, Cain killed Abel. Envy? Almost certainly. The scriptures don't give us the whole backstory. Was God unfair? or was Abel's offering simply better? Either way, the story reveals two enduring Stoic lessons. If Abel acted with more virtue, Cain could have seen that and improved himself instead of lashing out. If the universe or God was simply unfair, Cain still had the power to govern his reaction. As Seneca put it, virtue is just as praiseworthy in a poor, sickly body as in a wealthy, strong one. In both scenarios, Cain had a choice: to use his envy to grow or to destroy. He chose destruction. And history has remembered him not for his work, but for his weakness. This transformation of envy from poison to teacher requires discipline, not denial. You cannot outrun envy, nor can you suppress it into silence forever. You must face it head-on with tools as sharp as the emotion itself. These tools are not born of sentiment, but of strategy. They are weapons in a psychological war that most people don't even know they're fighting. The first and most essential tool is strategic gratitude, not the vague optimism peddled by self-help books, but a focused inventory of your strengths, experiences, and past triumphs. Gratitude shifts your mind from scarcity to sufficiency. It reminds you that you are not starting from nothing. You have survived, endured, and achieved. When envy tempts you to stare at what others have, gratitude forces you to reckon with what you've already built. And in that reckoning, you reclaim your self-worth. The second tool is the discipline of detachment. Most people are obsessed with comparison because they do not honestly know their path. Envy feeds on proximity. The closer your life resembles another's, the more brutal the comparison becomes. To break this cycle, you must withdraw. Stop obsessing over their timeline. Stop measuring your pace by theirs. In the Stoic view, the only legitimate opponent is your past self. Growth is not horizontal, where you compare side by side. It is vertical. You ascend alone, step by step. The third tool is radical value clarification. Ask yourself, why am I envious of this person? Is it because they are truly admirable, or simply because they are visible, because they are praised, or because they are principled? Envy often confuses illusion for substance. Someone else's curated life, filtered for perfection, becomes the canvas onto which you project your dissatisfaction. The Stoics urge you to separate image from essence. If you envy someone for their virtue, then pursue it. But if you envy them only for their spotlight, you are chasing shadows. The fourth tool is sublimation, channeling envy into self-transformation. Envy, when examined closely, reveals a desire, and desire can be repurposed. If you feel envious of someone's fitness, start training. If you envy their success, start creating. Take the emotion and convert it into motion. Let the energy of envy power your discipline. This is alchemy, turning a corrosive emotion into productive momentum. Most people let envy consume them. Masters turn it into fire. The fifth tool is perspective through mortality. In the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, he reminds us that all men, even emperors, die. Their praise fades, their possessions crumble, their names vanish. In the face of mortality, the things you envy become meaningless. This is not nihilism, it is clarity. When you remember that time is limited, you no longer waste it obsessing over someone else's life. You return to your own with urgency, focus, and gratitude. The final tool is cultivating inner excellence. The more you build a fortress within, the less envy can breach your gates. Develop real skills, strengthen your philosophy, deepen your intellect, improve your discipline. Make your life so rooted in purpose that there is no room for envy, only mission. In doing so, you evolve beyond the emotional games others play. You become unbothered, not because you suppress envy, but because it no longer belongs in your world. These are not easy tools. They require effort, reflection, and, above all, honesty. However, if you wield them consistently, envy loses its grip. It no longer dictates your mood, your decisions, your identity. Instead, it becomes what it was always meant to be, a mirror. And when you stand before it, you will no longer shrink. You will refine. But mastering your envy is only half the battle. There is another danger, one you cannot always control. That is the envy you awaken in others. The moment you achieve, you disrupt the comfort of those who have not. Success, especially when visible, becomes a provocation. People will smile, but many will silently hope for your fall. The Stoics, aware of this dynamic, urged modesty, not to deny one's strengths, but to conceal them strategically. Seneca warned, "Those who flaunt their fortune invite their downfall." When you shine too brightly, you expose yourself to attack. True power lies not in display, but in discretion. Appear ordinary, even when you are exceptional. Let others feel safe in your presence. Let your actions whisper, not shout. Because in a world where everyone is watching, subtlety becomes your shield. And when you sense the green fire of envy flickering in someone's eyes, do not confront it with pride. Confront it with understanding. Envy thrives in the illusion that your success was effortless, that you were gifted what others struggled to gain. Break that illusion with vulnerability. Speak carefully and wisely of your failures, your doubts, your slow beginnings, not to diminish your worth, but to make your path accessible. When others see that your ascent was earned, they may admire you rather than resent you. Better yet, involve them in your journey. Share credit, raise others, and transform your success into a collective story. When you do this, you strip envy of its most potent weapon, the belief that you are alone at the top, looking down. Envy is inescapable. It is an inherent part of the human condition. But mastery is not about escape. It is about confrontation. It's about seeing clearly what others overlook. When you feel envy rise, pause. Do not react. Reflect. Trace its source not outward, but inward. What fear, what need, what insecurity is it exposing? Use it. Refine it. Let it harden your resolve. And across all traditions, Stoicism, Christianity, Buddhism, the same advice echoes. Focus on your path. Be grateful for what you do have. And stop measuring your worth against others. These are not just spiritual ideals. They are psychological weapons against the corrosive power of envy. So the next time envy creeps in, don't shame yourself. Study it. Learn from it. Let it show you who you wish to become. Then let it go, not through suppression, but through understanding. And when you rise, and you will, remember that others are watching. Some will admire, some will celebrate, but many will compare. Hide your fire behind humility. Let your power run deep and silent. Because in a world addicted to display, the most formidable individual is not the one who demands attention, but the one who commands respect without ever needing to ask for it. Thank you for watching, and if you found this helpful, feel free to share it, like it, or support the channel. It means the world to me.